Good morning, everyone. So today I have really been looking forward to trying these out. These are some new items LDRSCreative brought in for their summer collection. So Angie did send these items free of charge for my review, and of course all opinions are my own. And any links I have in the description box will be affiliate links, which means I would make a small commission if you were to purchase items through those links. So actually I should put these this way. So I believe on her site, on the LDRSCreative site, again I'll have links there right to her site, because these are not on HSN, because I know a lot of times people equate LDRSCreative with HSN, but this is from their site itself. And oh, there's a little something flying around here. She has a couple of sets that she brought in that are similar, where it's a stamp set, a stencil that helps you easily color in the stamp set. So before I just thought, oh, it's a stencil with this, but this gives you that nice outline, so you use them together. And then the Tropical Floral Slimline die. So this is the Tropical Floral Slimline set. The other one, you don't actually have it here, is this one here. It's the Garden Grandeur Slimline. So they're are created very similarly, like the way you would fill this in is the way I'm going to fill this one in today. But today I'm going to use the tropical one, and we will use the other one at a later date. So again, photopolymer stamps. Let me bring this out. Smells awesome. You know, I love the smell of photopolymer stamps. Nice big stamp set here. I'll show you, or stamp should I say. It is about 6 inches long. A little sparkly something, and it also has sentiments. Of course, it says you are special, thank you for everything, you make the world a better place, and miss you so much. And then once you've stamped that, you can take your stencils, and just like you use stencils, just fill it in. These items, like I said, are sold separately. So let's say maybe you're not into stencils, you rather color that in with, you know, alcoholic markers or watercolor or whatever it is that you like to use, then you can do that. But she does have the stencils here, and that is definitely what I'll be using today. Hope you can kind of see the layers there. Like, this is the flowers, these are the leaves. And on the back of the packaging, which I put to the side for some reason, it'll tell you stencil 1A, 1B, 1C. And I don't know if you noticed, even though the colors here are like kind of darker than this lightest color, it depends on where it's hitting this, but you can follow along with that kind of color scheme, which is maybe what I'll do today, since this is the first time I'll use them, and I want to make sure we're putting them in the right order. So that's good right there. And then you have, you know, you can put that right on your paper and use that as your focal point, or you can cut it out with the die. Again, all the items are separate, so you can pick up whatever it is that you like. And then we have the die to cut that out. So I'm going to grab some very smooth paper. Since there is a lot of stenciling, I don't really know how much it will hit the black line, so I'm going to stamp it in black ink. So I think what I'm going to do is seal that with some embossing powder. So I'll probably use VersaFine ink because it's nice and thick, and then I can just pop some clear embossing powder on that and it'll seal it in. And then we'll do the stenciling because, again, I don't really know where the stencils hit, and you know, you might end up going over, even if you're using a hybrid ink or a good ink that you think isn't going to move, it might still move, you know, after all that stenciling. So let me grab some smooth white paper, or cardstock should I say, the VersaFine ink, and I think I'm going to use my stamping tool if it's big enough for this, just to make sure we get a nice impression, and I will be right back. Okay, so I could not find the stamping tool I normally use, which is very weird. Like, where else would it be if it's not with everything else that I use every day like I always do? But that's okay. I found this other one, and even though it's not my fave, it'll work. Haven't used this one in a while. Okay, so I have a piece of stamping card here, and I'm just going to tuck it right into the corners, just so hopefully that doesn't move. I'm going to take this beautiful stamp, and I am going to cut it out, so I don't really mind like where it ends up being, really. I just want to make sure that, since this is a little bit different stamping tool I normally use, that it's where it needs to be. And okay, so if I have that there, oh, it's already there, because that little foam mat, it's like touching already. Okay, again, make sure this one is a stamp that has just like lines, so it's not the biggest deal, and I'm sorry about that glare, but you can see those bubbles underneath there. So with a big stamp, you always just want to kind of like get those bubbles out. So I'm just gonna do this. It's probably not going to be a big deal with this one because it's a, like I said, a fine line stamp, but when you have a stamp that's solid, you really need to get those bubbles out, or you're not going to get an impression there at all. Okay, I can reset that in a minute. I just want to make sure I have the space. I have my VersaFine ink. I have some clear embossing powder and a little thing there. Oh, you know what? Let me make sure. Ah, yes. I just want to make sure that was plugged in. And we'll use this guy today. That's weird. Broke that little lid there. And I'm just going to go for it because sometimes I like to prep my stamps or like just prime them or just give them a scrape and stuff. But when they're, again, a fine line stamp like this, it usually doesn't need any prepping, like stamping off. Okay, again, this is scary. And VersaFine is just kind of like an oily base, so it stays wet for a minute. Okay, so I did miss this section and this section right here. So I'm going to tuck that back in there and make sure to press on that again. Where's that? At the very bottom and right towards the middle there. And since I don't normally use this press, I might do it again. Right down here and right in here somewhere. Alright, I'm going to do that just one more time and fill this part in right here. Just making sure my paper is exactly where it was. And what I'm going to do is check to make sure I don't have an air bubble there. I kind of do, so maybe that's why. Get that little air bubble out of there. Yep, it was right there. Hopefully this will be alright. You know, there's plenty of ink on here, but I'm just going to do it again. I can see that the ink didn't touch the paper, that's why it's still there, waiting to be used. Make sure this is all butted up just where we had it. And just right in here. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to call that great. And now, what we're going to do is add our embossing powder. I did not use my embossing buddy, but if you want to use that, that would be good. I pretty much always forget to use it, and that's why he hardly ever makes an appearance on camera. Let's go like this, make sure that all gets on there, and then just tap, tap, tap all the extra away. I normally would put this away and then go to use my heat tool, but since I'm on camera, I'm just going to go right to the heat tool. And I'm going to let it get nice and hot. I don't recommend putting your hand in front of it. I just want to make sure it's nice and hot. And once an area turns nice and crystally, move away from there. So I'm just going to hold it here, and once it gets shiny, you move on. So see that quickly, okay? Go to the next area and just keep following along until it all changes. Once it starts doing it in one area, the tool's nice and hot and ready, so it just gets easier as you go along. Okay, I'll do the whole thing and I'll be right back. Okay, all done. And I always just give that a minute to dry, even though, I mean, it's dry, but I just want to show you what I do with this coffee filter and why I always use a coffee filter. Just take it and pour it back in there like that. Okay, I'm going to grab my colors that I'll be using and get I like to use this magnetic board that I have for stenciling, but you can just tape the pieces as you go along, just like you would do any other stenciling. I will be right back. Okay, I have that ready to go. I'm just going to put this down, and I know there's a lot of glare, so I'm going to remove these in just a second. I don't really need them. Again, just tape it down with, you know, whatever craft tape you like to use. And I think that's I know it's off here, but I just wanted to get as much glare gone. And real quickly, to remove the VersaFine, I just sprayed this with alcohol, just alcohol. And you can put it on a wipe and wipe it, and it cleans off really nicely. That's kind of how I get rid of VersaFine. And so I brought out all the little kind of packs that I have, the small ink packs. And what I'm going to do is grab some different colors. So like, I'll probably take this green, and I'm going to try them out because sometimes it might come out darker than you think. Like this one looks a little bit lighter than that dark green, but I'm not sure. So I am going to try the colors out and choose the colors that I want. I am going to stick to kind of the color scheme that she has here. I just want to point out, like these two, this one's like a lighter green and this one's a little bit darker, but then we go back to light because this lightest green, if you see, it's only for the palms, these little skinny palms that I'm always cutting in my yard. Oh my goodness. Those things need trimming all the time. But these two, so that's why it's light and then dark, and then it goes back to the lightest because it's not in the same area. Okay, so usually you build up your stenciling from light to dark, right? So I just don't want anyone to get confused with that. So again, here she has light, a little bit darker, and then darkest. Just this is a little bit different because you're doing a whole different area. And then here she has, again, a little bit lighter, kind of reddish, raspberry, and then deeper color. So I'm going to choose my colors, and I'll be right back. Okay, I think this is how I want to do it. So I have my greens here, and it goes from key lime pie to olive branch to evergreen. And then as far as the reds, kind of I have Lipstick Jungle, Kiss Me Red, then Scarlet Rose. And then on the yellow orangey, I'm going to use Lantern Yellow, Dandelion, and In Your Face Orange. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to follow along 1A, 1B, 1C. Those are the leaves. So we'll start with those guys. So 1A should be, again, a little bit lighter. And I just put these down just to have them. They're not quite where I need them to be. And if you don't have something like this, of course, just tape them down. So I'm just looking through here and gonna line that up. See, that one's a little bit off. There's good. Right here's good. And right there. So I'm just kind of eyeballing, making sure I'm grabbing everything that needs to be. It does have a different feel because of the embossing powder. But I think that's pretty good. So then you would just tape, of course. And my paper did get a little bit warped from the heat embossing, but that's all right. So on this one we're using the mid color green and the darker green. So I am going to take this, and I'm just going to make sure I have that right. So I am using the mid color. And I'm using a little finger dabber, but you can use whatever you like. And I'm just kind of dabbing if you want to smooth it out. If you've seen some of Angie's videos, I think she uses the little brushes and they look so nice. They just give such a nice application. But again, I try to start in the center of the leaf and go out so that the darker color is in the center and then out from there, but whatever works for you. And hitting every spot. I think that's good. Okay, so there's that. Oh, that's the lighter green. I'm still going to use the same dabber for the dark green. So I'll move these to the side. That was 1A. Then we'll just wash that off. Again, if it doesn't come off that well because it is a hybrid ink, you can just spray it with some alcohol ink. Look how pretty that looks even just with that. Like, that's so nice. Okay, 1B. Again, I'm going to be patient and just kind of lining it up. Paying attention. Like down here I start with this one's very fine and then the rest kind of just falls in place. Again, my paper was wonky that first one because of the way the heat embossing worked out. So I'm going to make sure to keep it nice and flat so when I put my magnets I hit it right on the spot. Okay, and now I'm going to go with the darkest, which is Evergreen. Some of these are hitting the same area we just went over, but some of it is new areas. So it just really darkens the green that we already did, right, in some spots. Oh, and this one's more fine. I'm just going to make sure to... Okay, I think I hit it all. And this time I'm just going to wipe that off a little bit because I'm going to use the same one I just dabbed it off. Ooh, that is so awesome. Oh my gosh. That looks so cool. Okay, and this guy is a lot finer, so I'm really going to pay attention because it's the very fine little palms. I don't even know. Are they the pygmy? Well, for my house, they look like this. They're called pygmy date palms. I don't know if that's what they're always called. No, I'm just trying to make sure. I can see this is lined up pretty nicely, but I'm also paying attention to that. There we go. And that top one, perfect. And trying to smooth out my paper. And this time I'm just going to use the key lime pie, the very light one. And I do like that there's still a little left over the dark green, so when I go to come in here, it'll start off a little dark and it might taper off to something lighter. And that's just fine by me. Just adds to the design. And that's it on that one. So let's check these leaves out. And I'm going to do the flowers the exact same way. And I'll probably go a little faster on that one just so that you guys can have a look at that. Wow. Okay, so that was the greens. And the next one will be stencil 2A, 2B, and 2C. So 2A, 2B, and 2C, and I'll just grab those again. These are go from light to dark. So 2A, the lightest color, which would be the lemon yellow. So let's find our little flowers in here. And I'm gonna line that up. So look at these little guys, so cute. So we have those guys. And just trying to make this work here. So I do want to point out, like, just do the best you can. Like this one looks like, oh, maybe I'm not quite there yet because this piece might be on the other stencil. So I'm just looking for the general shape, right? That big outline. Like here, it's completely cut off. Obviously, it's not going to line up out there. Right there. I hope that makes sense because I don't want you thinking, oh, it has to line up and it's not quite lining up. It's because some of them are going to be on the other stencil, so it's cut a little differently. It doesn't exactly follow the lines. And I'm going to use this one. This is the orange I used last time, I suppose. I'm going to take some of that off. So let's start with dandelion. And just putting that everywhere in here. And I'll show you this one, and then the next one I'll just probably do off camera because I think you get the gist here. So we have that one. So cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. 2B. I guess maybe I'll start down here again. And I'm just eyeballing where that might go. Perfect. So now I'm going to use dandelion. Oh my gosh, you guys, that looks, I can just see already the way it just kind of looks so awesome. Okay. Oh, there's a little tip there I missed. Okay. That little depth it just makes there. And then the last one is our deepest color. And of course, I should point that out, it says LDRSCreative and then it has a number. If it's backwards like this, it's not going to work right. So just have the words facing up at you there. And let's see where this is supposed to go. Okay. It looks like these little centers are like the flower centers. So I'm going to line that part up first and then kind of pay attention to the lines that might work on these other ones. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so delicate. Look at this. It's just that little center and it gives it just that little detail. So cool. And when I do the next one, it'll just be all the reds in that same order, the light to dark. So the last one here is In Your Face Orange. Wow. So whatever inks you have, just get 3 of the same color family and, you know, use the lightest, mid, and dark. It'll work out real nice. You guys. I mean, come on. All right. I'm going to do the Lipstick Jungle, Kiss Me Red, and Scarlet Rose with the last ones here, which are 3A, 3B, and 3C, just like I've been doing, and I'll be back. have to look at this together. That was the last one. Y'all, oh my gosh, that is so pretty. I think everything should come with a stencil now. Alright, I'm gonna go clean these off. I do have alcohol in a spray bottle that I use for like my nails, but I just spray these and wipe it, and that's it. You can use water. Sometimes it leaves some residue though, so that's why I like to use the alcohol. But I will be right back and cleaning off all the stencils. Okay guys, so that's where I was dabbing all those things. Let me back up a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out before we put this onto a card topper, or as a card topper. So I might make an aperture. Let me see how this looks as far as if it's easy to kind of see through and see what you're doing, because I would hate to cut something off that I didn't want to. Yeah, no, it's pretty easy to see through. So let me cut this down just a little bit. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty, so easy. And yeah, I think we can eyeball this one. Something like that. It's going to move, of course, but let me get my craft tape ready. And this can run through even a smaller machine. I guess it depends on the width, but the width, I know it seems like I can go through the marquee and things like that. I'm going to get 2 of these in my hand just to have them ready, because, oh, that's a chintzy little piece there. It'll work for something. All right. Let's see here. Like there. I think that looks good. Right here. So I'm going to stick this side down. Let me push it a little closer. I like to usually stick the tape like not where the image is. But see how it'll still move, so you definitely want to use your tapes. Stick these things down. Okay, I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine and I'll be right back. Alright. Oh my gosh. That is so pretty. They just feel so nice in your hand too, especially with the embossing. Okay, so I'm going to select some papers and card bases and all those kind of things, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I like my Slimlines to be 8.5 by 3.5, and so with that in mind, I cut some of the Painted Garden Slimline paper here. This is from something else, which is 4 by 9 paper. I cut it down to 3 3/8 by 8 3/8, so just under 3.5 by 8.5 in either direction. And on this one, just your standard A2 size papers, you can make a slimline the size that I prefer, but you can make it however you like. Our paper is already 8.5 inches wide, and you cut it 7 inches on the other direction. And we're going to score it at 3.5. This is just craft cardstock, so I thought that might look nice. So get that going. And from the Painted Garden paper, oopsie, this is the backside of this one. And I wanted to start off with a green because I thought, oh, green, but the blue just made it pop so nicely, so I went with blue. So I'm just going to glue this down. And then we're going to do a sentiment and all that kind of goody stuff. I guess good stuff. And since I'm using wet glue and the Painted Garden paper has a little bit of a slick surface, I'm just going to make sure that that's set up before we move on. So I'm going to hold that down and I'll be right back. Okay, and I was kind of playing with this, and I think my initial was to put it like this and then put our sentiment down here somewhere, but I kind of like it oriented this way. So I'm going to use some of this thinner foam, and then what's going to happen is dimensional adhesive is that the sentiment I'll pop up on either twice of this or some other dimensional adhesive that I have. It's a little bit thicker. I don't know if you can see. Dimensional adhesive isn't all made the same. Like this one is just slightly thicker, like the slightest amount thicker. So we can do that, or we can double up this stuff. But either way, I want them both popped up, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to add a little bit more over here just in case. So I'll take the backings off of this. That's always a little tedious, and then I'll just stick that down right there. Okay, so we have that adhered and a little bit popped up. Oh, it feels so nice. Okay, I am going to take a colored ink. I know a lot of times I always use black, so I'm going to try to branch out of that. And I think I'm going to use the You Make the World a Better Place. And I'll just stamp that. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut this out with a die, or if I'm just going to cut it straight like I like to do. If I cut it straight, I need a better edge. The other one looked like it was kind of frayed a little bit. So sometimes these ink pads are pretty juicy, so I think I'm going to stamp that off. Oh, okay, cool. I can see that the A had quite a bit of juice in there, but I'm just going to do it again. I see my Y isn't quite covered there. Maybe right here. And so I might die cut that, I might just cut it. If I cut it, I'll just cut it straight, and I will be right back. So this is kind of unorthodox, but I am just going to fussy cut around it. Why not? Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so I have that cut out, and yeah, I just decided to cut around it just because it was kind of fun, and it's kind of like water in the background. I just thought it would be funner to cut it this way than just some straight lines or even a die. So, oh, I wanted to kind of play with this a little bit before I stuck it down. Yeah. So I'll take that off. I didn't put any stickiness here. I guess I could use like that single layer of the roll foam that I have here, but I think I'm just gonna put it. Let's look. Kind of wanted to put it here. So pretty. Just a simple little sentiment there. So nice. So hopefully you guys had an idea or got an idea how to use these. Again, you can color them in however you like, but that stencil makes it really awesome. So thank you so much, Angie, over there at LDRSCreative, for sending these items for my review. I'll have some images for you guys. I'll have the links in the description box. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.